this idea of like, okay, who's your identity as a kid? So like maybe part of my identity was like, okay, I'm going to be a really good basketball player, and I was. And that was kind of the vision for being held back. But that's certainly for me deep down, I was kind of like, well, I don't really get good grades. The other students study less than me and will get better grades. So something's just not adding up for me. But regardless, I got held back, and that was my introduction into private school for the first time. And in private school, you realize that, especially when there's a religion involved, that there are principles of private schools with religion, and coupled with the fact that I was coming into my own sexuality of, do I like women, or I thought I liked women. But I ended up realizing that I was into men, coupled with going to a private religious school, kind of, I think, accelerated my addiction, because there really was nowhere for me to get this idea that these feelings that I had and who I was okay. We didn't have the messaging that exists today and the sensitivities. So I didn't really have an outlet to even realize what I was going through. And I think that that probably accelerated everything.
Ron, how is it for you to hear Mike talk about this? Do you have any thoughts? Did you know that Mike was gay? Did you have any sense?
Well, I had a little bit of a sense
because of the internet, right?
Yes.
I didn't know that. By the way, this story, I didn't know that people could go back and look at the search history. So during this period of time, it was horrifying. I literally would look up, like, back then it was like Marky Mark was hot. And then also there's all these sexual websites. It was my introduction to it. My dad saw it all and has a sit down conversation with me about it. And I completely denied it. But that was your first idea that maybe I was a gay person?
Yes. And, I wanted to believe you. Times have changed. That was over 20 years ago. And Mike finally did come out to us on the night he graduated from high school.
Yeah.
And that night for me, because I really wasn't prepared to hear that. We all have a vision for our children, and my vision today would be much different than it was 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, my vision was that my kids were going to kind of follow in the footsteps of their parents and their grandparents and their great grandparents before them. Some of whom were probably gay, but nobody knew about it because no one talked about it back in those days. And so it was very difficult for me to accept. Not that I didn't accept Mike 100%, but I really went through a very a why me moment until I realized it really isn't about me. And what I was really concerned about is how is that going to affect Mike's growth and evolution and life? Because there were it wasn't then, and today not perfect for a lot of people. But I got good advice. I got good advice from a few people who told me the best thing you can do is tell your son you love him and mean it. And that was great advice for me. And I think Mike would probably agree that that's what I've shown him over the years, and because that is how I feel. The drug use, I knew that was an issue, but it really didn't become a major issue, in my opinion, until he went off to college.
Yeah. Aina, how about you? For you, like Ron spoke very honestly. about how he reacted when Mike told you that night that he was gay. How was that for you?
Well, that particular night, he wanted to stay out. And we had said everybody can come to our house, but no, you can't go wherever you want to go. And he got really angry at us. So he just blurted this out.
Wow.
And it was yes, you did.
Mom,
And
I went to Gay Pride Long Beach, and you said I left the house. This is why I remember. I remember I left the house. I went to my first gay pride ever. I said I went to Long Beach. I came home. You said, where were you? I said I was at a concert. You said there are no concerts in Long Beach. The only thing that was happening was gay pride. And that's when I said, yes, I was at gay pride. I'm gay.
Well, unfortunately, I don't remember it that way. I thought that that was your father that was aware of that particular thing. You know, I may be wrong, but I actually can say I was totally shocked when you told us that night. And my initial reaction was, and at that time, people that were gay were not having families. My initial reaction was, oh my God, I'm never going to have any little Michaels running around. I mean, I had this image of you marrying this really sweet girl, athletic, becoming a basketball coach at high school, and then having these little tiny minions running around that I could love. And the little boys would look just like you. And I think that was what the shocker was that night to me. And I remember your father and I, after you left, talking. And I remember your dad just kept saying, it's a tough world. It's going to be real rough. He didn't say anything to the fact that, you know, he was embarrassed or anything like that. His concern was that it was going to be tough for you, a tough future. And I just felt that my dream was shattered. There were no little Mikes. And as time went on, you brought a lot of your gay friends home. That's where I met Jocelyn. And there were other kids that came. I remember you being out by the pool by one kid whose dad was a minister in the Midwest and didn't allow him to come home again. And it just really broke my heart because I don't think your dad or myself would ever feel that way. And it's sad that there are kids that are completely separated from their families and not accepted. So anyway, that was my reaction. I was shocked.
And by the way, all your versions are probably more accurate than mine because I was so messed up on drugs that maybe I was on an acid trip and I thought that's what happened.
Your sister.
I don't remember. I don't you know, your mom and I have a slightly different recollection of that. I don't remember your leaving the house angry that night. And I don't remember the circumstances leading up to it, but I just remember, and maybe because I might have been expecting that to be the case anyway, but I thought it was as calm a conversation it could be. And I think my reaction was, are you sure?
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, give it a share, put in the comments what you thought. Until next time, keep it magical.